CP.
Are you serious? He's gone. 40, 30, Portis all the way. Touchdown Redskins, 64 yards.
26 minutes.
He's pretty sharp. You know, he'll coach you up on the Miami guys and everything else. He's kind of fun to be around. Got an opinion too.
You know, I've been blessed to have the opportunity to go out and be myself and say the things that I say. And, you know, for the outside world, they can deal with it how they deal with it.
26 minutes with Clinton Portis. CP. Teach him something.
Welcome to 26 Minutes, episode 31. We got a full house. Jake Kring-Schreifels is back from, I thought he was on vacation, but you look pale. You must have went to Canada.
Well,
You
I was
definitely
on
didn't go
vacation for a couple days in New York a couple weeks ago, so that was
south. That's not
R&R
vacation.
minus
it was
the
a
sun.
snowstorm.
well, not when I was there. It was actually pretty nice out, but I'm still not getting the UV rays I need.
You need
in
a
New
tan
York.
in bed. Monica McNutt, all over the TV, just with her. You're doing great things.
Well,
Monica.
thanks,
I'm
CP.
So proud.
I
Every time
appreciate
you
you.
post, like, I get excited. Like, that's my co-host. That's my dog. Like,
I
Minute
appreciate
Maid.
that.
That's your Minute Maid.
yeah, that's
There
my
you go.
mate. Like,
There you go.
She don't even put 26 minutes. She
That's
don't even
not true.
speak of the show. She
I
don't even talk
posted.
about
I
the show when
posted
she
the
on
show
TV.
last week, Jay. When you weren't here, I did post the show.
Yeah, but
so
still,
now
you
this
don't
week
be
I'll
like,
post.
yeah, my co-host. Every time I'd be like, that's my dog, that's my co-host. I make sure I send a shout out. But when she on TV, she don't mention us, Jake.
That is
She don't
not
talk
true.
about 26
That's
minutes.
not true.
I mean, you haven't been here, so it's okay if she forget about you. But dog, Monica, I'm
CP,
here
you know I
with you.
got you. I got you.
All right, we got to jump right in. A lot of news for the Skins. Trent Williams coming off of a tumor scare. You know, was breaking news this week. Our information released this week. When you look at this situation, does that change the Skins draft? You know, when you have to accept the fact that Trent is getting older and you kind of miss his youth. He's missing more games year in, year out. You're starting to have scares, and you wish he's healthy. You want him to be around for a long time, but you just lost your tackle, your backup tackle, to Buffalo. Now, do this change the Skins draft plans, because you got a couple tackles in this draft?
Well, I don't think it ever changed their plans, because they did realize they needed a tackle anyway. I mean, you lose Ty and Secchi, and you're going to rely on John Christian now. You know, that's still a tenuous prospect, and I feel like for the most part the Redskins have been dealing with offensive line injuries for the last couple of years. I think just stocking up a tackle in the draft is kind of a priority anyway.
But
So-
a first-round priority. It's always good to get
Well-
linemen when you have, picks in the draft. But when you're talking about replacing Trent Williams, you don't just go and get a guy in the fourth round.
Well, I don't
Like,
think they need to replace him yet, but I do think they need at least somebody to kind of be a body for him and during the entirety of spring practices, because that's the biggest thing is the Redskins are going into spring. Morgan Moses is still recovering, and Trent will probably not be practicing that much, so they need a tackle or somebody to kind of help fill the void in some way.
To your point, though, CP, I don't think replacing Trent Williams will be an afterthought. You know what I mean? Like, if they were in mode, it's time to replace Trent, I think we would have known whether we had the scare or not, because he's aging. Thank God that this has been minimized and he should be okay. But like you said, he hasn't necessarily had a complete season in a minute.
I know, but when you start having injuries pile up, and this happens for everyone, even for me, like through my career, I was available. And then when you start having consistent years of losing seasons and injuries, it gets tougher, like that off season, because you're recovering in the off season, so you're taking it easy. And then you're thrust back into, let me hurry up and get back to where I used to be. And you don't realize, Father Time, your age is catching up with you. And it becomes harder, like to roll out of bed and say, oh, boy, I got to go run 2 miles a day. Or I got to go lift these weights. Like in Trent, and not saying the organization, I'm just saying Trent Williams' thought process. And I haven't talked to Trent. I haven't discussed this with Trent. But still, in your playing career, you begin to think of things like, man, you know what? Like, I need to be able to enjoy, especially when you have a scare like this. Like, a tumor on your brain that you got to get surgically removed. If this, if it was cancerous instead of being benign, then you're saying, oh, I'm retiring, and it kind of remind me of a bit Chris. We thought Chris Samuels was coming back, and all of a sudden he walk out like he's stiff, like I can't play anymore. And it was shocking because Chris was healthy. So
then I guess how do you prepare for that? I guess is the question, because Trent's not ready to hang it up yet. But is he toward the end of his career, closer to the end rather than the beginning? For sure. But is that a conversation that as a player you're having with the organization, or the organization is seeking you out? Like, how do you begin to prepare? I would not say that the priority becomes tackled this season, considering all the other needs we have.
Right.
Well, speaking of needs, a need that you don't have is in the running backs position. Coach Gruden excited about what he's seeing out of Geis. You see the videos of Geis pop up and him out in public playing with the fans and entertaining, bringing, the excitement that we thought we were going to see last year. He's bringing that excitement. So now you have Adrian Peterson, Geis, and Chris Thompson. To me, that would say the best running back trio in the NFL. And this is not going out on a limb because AP is a future Hall of Famer. Geis, we know he has the potential, not sure how it's going to develop into the NFL, and Chris Thompson being the playmaker that he is. So now all of a sudden you finally have a strong group to carry your team. Does this take a lot of pressure off the quarterback position and addressing the wide receiver need? I'm
not as quick to say it does because, again, Darius Geis has not played in the NFL yet. And, I would like to assume that his rehab will continue to go fine and that he will get strength back and everything will be just as Redskins fans assumed it would be last year. But he's still a variable. Adrian Peterson, I know he had a breakout year. I know he's still strong and incredibly fast. But again, Father Time, it does play a factor into this, and it's hard to know exactly how much he can put into another 16-game season. There's a lot of variables still with the running back. Speaking
of 16 games, when you got three backs, like how do you rotate these guys? Like if one guy get hot, if guys get hot in a game, you sit AP. If AP get hot, do you save guys? So I don't feel like he has the wear and tear or the pressure of 16 games because he could be hot this game and the next game guys could be hot.
That's true. Well, that will definitely be the helpful part of this, which I think is if they're both healthy, then you can use them kind of like Kamara and Ingram had been the last couple of years and find a way to save them in terms of playing all the snaps.
I think it's okay to be excited about this. I feel you in terms of the overall package and the entire offense. But yes, whatever bright spot or something that we can find confidence in, I think we should get excited about it, roll with it, maybe manage expectations. But you're right. I think that AP maybe won't per se duplicate the performance that he had last year, but I'm just excited for Darius to get under his tutelage, like in live action, and have an opportunity to really learn and glean from him and see how that could elevate his game. I don't know, and CP, you've been injured. How does I'm now able to run sprints in the bubble versus being able to be in live action translate in a recovery process?
Well, for me, speaking of the bubble, I never had a bubble. We were in the elements, and that was Coach Gibbs' weather, and he would always say that, and I think it developed a different mindset. So when you're running in the bubble, and, I think for guys, just having an opportunity to get back to where he's young. So when you're young, you can bounce back. You bounce back like this, and you're eager. That's how you end up in the park running routes with a fan because you feel good about it. Once you get older, you cautious. Right. Man, if I mess around and twist my ankle or re-injure myself, then this is not a good idea. So just seeing guys come back, and seeing this confidence, that's the best thing. You got to get the belief. That's the hardest thing to recovery is knowing you're back to 100% of yourself. Trusting yourself. So once you get him on the field, I think it does so much, but is it enough to fill the stadium? Like to have these three guys, is it enough to get the fans in the seat?
God.
Like, can you lean on these guys? Because that's what you're going to have to lean on with all the question marks on your offensive side of the ball.
I have this question, though. If we're running routes in the park with fans, Darius, come on the podcast. What did you do to him? Because I told him to come on the podcast, and he was like, no, I'm mad at CP.
Listen, it's okay to be mad at me. He was so excited about LSU, and I'm thinking Michigan State is really playing good basketball, and I knew he was all in on LSU, so I just slid him a DM. He was back at LSU. Hey, man, you know what? I like Michigan State. You know what I mean? So I was like, let's make a $10 bet. He was like, let's make a $5 bet. So we bet at $5, and you know what I mean? I was like, yeah, just leave it with Miss BJ. I'll pick it up. So I knew he was all in on LSU.
He was in the front.
Yeah,
with
he
the fans.
was all in on LSU. So it was my opportunity as a vet. This is what vets do. When they get an opportunity, knowing you're loyal to your team and they take advantage of you. He loved LSU. It was no way he wasn't going to take that bet. But it was only $5. So
Well, we'll talk a little bit more tournament and coming up. I'm excited to talk about that, though. But he was there, loud and proud. Michigan State, man. Whew.
Yeah.
pay the bills, Jake.
Guys, helping people improve their lives is what should drive business. That's the belief at Koch Industries, which employs more than 65,000 people across America. The team at Koch works together to meet the world's changing needs in transportation, medical care, water filtration, household goods, energy-efficient building products, and everyday technologies, all while consuming fewer resources. See the innovations firsthand at kochindustries.com.
Jake, it's been so long since we heard you read, man. Like, I just feel like this is an episode. This is like deja vu, an episode being replayed. But you had a conversation with Landon Collins. You hadn't been around since the number discussion came about, and you finally had a discussion with Landon. How did that go?
Well, it came out last week that he will be taking number 20, which was HaHa's number this past season too. And there was the big debate about whether he would take 21, Sean Taylor's jersey. And so the interesting thing was, first of all, I asked him, did you know that 21 was available when you came to the Redskins? And he said, I thought it was retired. So he already came to the Redskins not expecting to take 21. When he found out it wasn't, that's when he started considering the prospect of maybe wearing that. And I said, so why didn't you wear it this year? What happened? And he said, basically, he had not spoken to Sean's father, Pedro, yet. He saw a lot of bickering between fans on social media and his former teammates, probably including you.
Including CP, for sure.
And not to say that you were wrong to do that, but I think that helped inform a decision to say he told me he's going to wait until the next season and maybe think about it next offseason. He's going to wait and see. He says he wants to prove. He says he wants to prove himself to the fans first, and maybe if he feels like they feel he deserves to wear it next season.
Okay, so stop.
That he would wear it. Now, that doesn't mean he could wear it next year too, but he just said he wanted to not make a decision right away, ingratiate himself with the fan base, and take the temperature next season.
So, is there anything that a player could do to earn the privilege of wearing number 21 here with the Washington Redskins?
No.
Okay.
And yesterday was Sean's birthday, April the 1st. Sean T birthday.
Would have turned
Happy
36.
Birthday. Yes, would have been 36, the number he started out with. And for me, and I've already spoke my piece on this issue, but for Landon, I understand that you're a fan. I understand your admiration. I understand the influence that Sean had, right? But when you're talking about putting the pressure on yourself that you're going to put on you, like the eyes is going to pay attention. In the moment that you walk out in 21, if you're really a fan of Sean T, that's your idol, the moment that you walk out in 21, you mess up everyone's last vision of 21. That memory that everyone has, that, you know what, I remember Sean picking Brett Favre off, or this play that he made against Arizona or the Eagles, that memory becomes, it's the same. When I see AP in 26, often it's like, oh, there you go. Like, I know this is not me, because the first thing I look at is the face mask. Even sometimes I've seen AP where I felt like that was my run. And when I look at the face mask, or you look at AP's like muscles, oh yeah, that's AP. That's not me. And it's one of those things, and it doesn't bother me because I'm still here. And when you see it for 21 can't be replaced. And I hope this year they retire the number. So for everyone that's listening in the front office and anywhere else, the owner, the president, whoever it is, just retire the number and take that consideration away, because you don't want to put that pressure, even for Landon. The first mistake, for him to go out and say, well, I'm going to see. For him to make one mistake, then you already failed. And that's a fan's perspective, because you can't remember or call out plays that Sean messed up. What you can remember is all the times that Sean saved or made a play that he wasn't supposed to make. Right now, can't no one say, oh man, I remember when Sean got beat deep. I can call out plays that Sean got beat. I remember T.O. running 70 yards downfield because Sean had busted the coverage and T.O. dropped the ball. But instead of people saying Sean blew that coverage, it's Sean intimidated T.O. so much in that game that T.O. thought Sean was by him and he wasn't. So you just don't interfere with that. You know, playing number 20 is close. Just great. You're closer to Sean than anything, and people will still remember you and compare you because you're playing safe.
20 was my number in college, for the record. But I also will say this, CP, and this has happened to me more times than I care to count, especially when the team's on the road, obviously, because we're in the stadium when they're here. People are literally like, man, quote, man, that's AP, but all I remember is CP in that number. 26 supposed to be CP. Like, people say that all the time, even though the number's still out there. So if the jersey is not retired, I feel where you're coming from, but I also think that this fan base will always have that number be synonymous.
And there's a
with the
lot
good things
of
about
Redskins numbers that are
It's 28.
that are
You know,
unwritten, but
unwritten. You're not going to see a 44 run out.
Right.
Somebody is not going to be Rigo. No one will be Darryl Green. No one will be Art Monk. Like, those numbers, you can forget about. Joe Theismann. You know, like, eventually the Skins are going to run out of numbers.
But maybe the good thing is that Landon has brought up this conversation and
To
it
make it
needs to be
official.
had. Maybe it's time. Maybe
Speaking
this
of
will finally bring it
conversation
up.
that needs to be had, and Monica wearing number 20 playing. Monica wore number 20 and she was playing center.
I was not playing
She was
center.
playing center
Anyway.
in number 20. She was famous for a hook shot from 3-point range. But speaking of that, Sweet 16, NCAA tournament has been everything no one imagined. The excitement. And that's the great thing about college sports, if you ask me. Like, the predictions, to begin this Sweet 16, you had one perfect bracket left. One. That's over with now. So there's no one with the perfect bracket. But you had one perfect bracket left at the start of Sweet 16. Now you're at the Final Four, and you have Michigan State, Virginia, Texas Tech, and
Michigan State, Virginia, Texas Tech, and oh my God, I'm a basketball person. Where's my brain going right now? Who?
Auburn.
Auburn. There it is.
Yeah, how could you forget Auburn? And Auburn lost their best player, so no one expects Auburn to be in this position. But Auburn is probably playing the best basketball without a key piece. So when you look at this Final Four and the excitement that came about, Sweet 16, Elite 8, now you're at the Final Four, who do you think pull it off?
I think Michigan State. I mean, I just
for
look
UVA.
at the coach and just the experience and where he has them playing right now.
Yeah, but they just beat Duke, right? You just beat Duke. Do you have a letdown? Do you have one of those games where you feel like you just climbed over the hurdle and you let down?
I said last week that Duke was not going to escape this weekend. They rolled over. Well, they didn't even really roll over. Virginia Tech came down to that
was
last
the
shot,
last shot.
right?
They-
Like,
they
they didn't roll
barely
over at all.
escaped.
They had consecutive games, 3 consecutive games.
So
of final
the
shots.
difference, though, and I think we talk about one and dones, and Coach K has embraced it. Cal obviously has it at Kentucky, but Michigan State, Cassius Winston is a junior. They've got kids on that team that have experience and are a little bit more gritty. I think that Cassius Winston is so underrated until you actually see him in person. On Sunday, the way that Trey Jones was dogging him defensively. Like, Trey Jones was working so hard, and Cassius was just like, oh, okay, whatever, get out the way, let me execute. Like, his ability to, handle the ball himself and get into the set, but then to drive his team, tremendous. Like, I don't know that you can truly appreciate him as a leader until you see him in person. Zion is also huge, like, huge. He was sitting at the podium, and his shoulders looked like somebody's head. Anyway, so I like Michigan State for that reason, but I also think this when you look at UVA, they've also got upperclassmen with experience, and I'll be curious to see how that one goes in terms of defense.
See, for me, I think UVA should have lost to Purdue. You have Klein, who hit some of the most amazing acrobatic threes in the tournament that you've ever seen. The guy pump faking, leaning to the right or leaning to the left, and he shoots a three and make it like this is his go-to shot numerous times. Miss a free throw.
So, but I disagree with you because Carson Edwards had what he had like 35 in that game.
But
nobody else had double digits.
Points. Exactly. So Carson Edwards put this team on his back.
And that's not how the
shots
tournament
that
goes,
he made were outstanding. When you have Klein, who the previous 2 games hit 7 or 8 threes, end up with 7 points in a game, like you have no teammates. And Carson Edwards, I think, and we're going to get to this in our standout team, but Carson Edwards, to me, was probably had the best game in this tournament out of anyone.
Absolutely. I definitely think he made himself an NBA player.
I think UVA, when you look at Gill and when you look at, Guy, when you look at Guy and his play, he responded every time.
Absolutely.
He responded. But looking at these teams, you like Michigan State.
I like UVA.
You like UVA. You like Michigan State. I just feel like Auburn is destined. Bruce Pearl journey. And the way he got these players playing after losing his best player. No one expected. I was high on Auburn. And like you were texting me about Gonzaga beating FSU without their best player. And, Gonzaga lose.
Gonzaga did lose.
Gonzaga turn around and lose.
Yeah.
But when you look at Auburn, they lose their best player and come out. And they look like they played better without him.
They played
better without him.
They've been Kansas. They've been Kentucky.
North Carolina.
They've had the hardest path to this. So now when you get here, I just see Auburn as one of those destined, like, first time in the Final Four. You've knocked off all these heavyweights. You're ready for battle. You have numerous scores. You're there.
So check this out, because I know you have this theory on SEC country athletes, not literally SEC conference, but to your point, I'm going down this Auburn roster, and Bruce Pearl talked about it earlier this week, how he wasn't highly recruited as a coach. His kids were far under the radar, and so maybe we're seeing guys with that extra little dog that we always talk about in terms of really wanting a bucket. You've got, this kid Jared Harper is from Mableton, Georgia. Bryce Brown is from Stone Mountain, Georgia. Daniel Purifoy, who had a solid game, is from Centerville, Alabama.
That's it.
Malik
all
Dunbar is
SEC
North Augusta,
What you're getting
South
at
Carolina.
is confirming something that I already said. If you got athletes, which you get from the SEC country, from that Southeast region, that's what you get, athletes. And they get competition. They're set on competition. They want to win. And that's what you're seeing at Auburn. But right now, we're going to let you pay the bills, and we're going to pick this conversation back up.
Jake's paying all the bills today.
Guys, alert. Extreme opportunity to win millions of dollars ahead. The Extreme Millions Scratcher could get you $10 million without you having to do anything extreme at all. The game has a $10 million top prize, a $1 million second prize, and over $256 million in total prizes in the entire game. All you have to do is head to your local lottery retailer. This game will make even the dullest winter day sparkle, maybe even a spring day blossom. You have 30 chances to win per ticket, and there are multipliers in the game too. If you have a non-winning ticket, you can enter it into the final second chance drawing in April for a $1 million prize. Don't spend the day staring out your window or leafing through a magazine you've read 1,000,000 times. Have you guys you've probably done that, Monica?
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Should you check out Extreme Millions? That's an extremely easy question to answer.
Look at you.
Have you heard about Creighton Farms, the private club community that's home to the Redskins? Creighton Farms is just 20 minutes from Dulles, but a world away. On top of its award-winning Jack Nicklaus signature golf course, pools, tennis courts, and other resort-style amenities, you'll find custom homes and villas that are simply extraordinary, starting at $1.5 million. For property and legal information, visit CreightonFarms.com, or, better yet, visit Creighton Farms.
Are uninvited pests ruining your plans? Let PMSI, the pest control partner of the Washington Redskins, handle it for you. Call today for your free inspection, and they'll work around your schedule to provide you the best solution possible to defend your home territory against pests of all kinds, including mold. Visit mypmsi.com for the game plan to control the pests on your home turf. That's mypmsi.com.
This is Rick Gosselin with the Talk of Fame Network. This NFL season, FanDuel has more ways to win than ever before. New Beat the Score contests pay out everyone who hits a certain score. Now it's easy to find your friends and challenge them to play head-to-head fantasy contests for cash or bragging rights. New players, try FanDuel today and get a $20 bonus when you make your first deposit. Just sign up at FanDuel.com/Rick.
New users only. Bonus not available for withdrawal. State and age restrictions apply. For eligibility rules, terms, and conditions, go to FanDuel.com.
John Riggins here with a little tip. If you need a mortgage, take my advice and use the pros at McLean Mortgage. Buying a home can be stressful and filled with hassles. The experts at McLean Mortgage understand what an important financial investment your home is and will seamlessly guide you through the process to successful home ownership. Smooth, amazing, easy, professional, and first rate are just some of the reviews from their tens of thousands of homeowners, including me. I trust McLean Mortgage, and I hope you will too. Check them out at McLeanMortgage.com.
Hail to the Redskins this year with gear from the official Redskins team store. From Nike player and personalized jerseys to a great selection of new era hats, the Redskins team store has you covered. Plus, we have an amazing variety of youth and ladies apparel and everything you need to throw the perfect tailgate party. And we have signs, flags, and collectibles for the perfect Redskins man cave. So hail to the Redskins in style at any of our 4 Redskins team stores or online anytime at RedskinsTeamStore.com.
If you have atrial fibrillation, you know it can be difficult to treat successfully. Innova Heart and Vascular Institute in Fairfax is a leader in AFib treatment using specialized technology and expertise. This helps to more precisely target and treat rhythm irregularities that others could miss, helping to restore your heartbeat to normal. Give your heart the benefit of care. Visit innovaheart.org/AFib to learn more and to find an Innova physician. Innova. Join the future of health.
Have you been fumbling on your diet during tailgate season? Well, it's a new day for a new game, and White House Foods has the solution for you. With the vinegar beverage of choice, Detox. Packed with lemon, honey, cinnamon, and apple cider vinegar, this organic, non-GMO verified product is the play you need to get your head back in the game. From our orchard fields to your football field, White House.
I'm trying to meet that boy Clinton Portis, though. They say they say he's smooth on his feet. I'm trying to teach him something.
Teach him something.
Teach him something.
You're looking for easy questions to answer? I need easy questions on this all-tournament team. So right now, starting with the 64, the performers. You know, if it was one game or someone put their team on their back, who would be someone you would highlight from this NCAA tournament?
Well, look, I'm not a basketball expert here. I don't know a lot of names in this tournament, and that's primarily because I've watched a lot of this tournament in crowded settings, in bars where you don't really hear the game broadcast. You don't really get to feel the emotion of Kevin Harlan every single second.
Did you get chocolate wasted?
No, I do appreciate the ability to watch the game completely entranced, even though I don't hear the game broadcast. But Ja Morant, I mean, this guy his stock really just soared after that first game. And I think in terms of really knowing how he'll fare against really high competition, it's still not exactly knowable just yet. But I think just his ability to electrify a crowd and to really make athletic plays throughout those first 2 games he played, I think is something to watch. And I think would probably be at least somebody you want on your team to make a dynamic play down the stretch.
He definitely lived up to the hype around his name. I think the names that you got to have an all-tournament team that have lived up to the hype would be Ja. Zion has to be on your list. He had a tremendous tournament. I think the sleepers probably are Carson Edwards. I think Aubrey Dawkins against Duke really, like both of those guys to me, drove up their NBA stock. And then you look at what Auburn is doing. What's the kid? Harper? Bryce Harper, I think is his name.
It's not Bryce.
Not Bryce Harper. I'm sorry. I'm Jared Harper.
You're jumping ahead here.
My bad. Yeah, that's my other kid. Bryce Brown, excuse me.
Yeah,
no, Jared Harper. I was right.
So when you look at this situation, of course, Zion, the legend of Zion grew. Like now, all Zion is known for is the exploding shoe. Like the legend of Zion has grown so much. When you see him block this 3-pointer and his head was up above the guy's shooting hand, like his legacy is like his legend will be amazing, especially for college basketball. Carson Edwards put on a performance that was so memorable to me. Like I became a huge fan because he's undersized. I don't think he got the handles to play point guard. So you can't say he's like Steph Curry. But when it comes to a sharpshooter, he's the guy. Ja Morant, outstanding. P.J. Washington's return was
big difference maker.
Lifted Kentucky so much. And then at center, I'm going to go with UCF center. Because if if Taco Falls never fouled out, then Duke would have already been out of this conversation. Because that rebound,
you think that honestly?
He fouled out when Reddish got the rebound and led back in. It came right after he fouled out.
By the way,
after Reddish got the 3. Okay, I'm thinking of the 3. Never mind.
Let's not forget about Fletcher McGee, the 3-point sharpshooter for Wofford. Now I know he didn't have a great second game.
He reminded me of what's the kid that went to BYU?
Jimmer Fredette.
Fredette.
Now that could easily be another Jimmer Fredette. But he was fun to watch, and he got Wofford into the tournament.
Yeah,
just a crazy stretch.
You have those players, but I'm saying when you talk about the all-tournament team, someone that makes a difference, which that was great.
What are you talking about, the NBA?
I was just about to say that.
To see all of these small schools that advance, when you talk about Wofford and
UC Irvine.
Yeah, UC Irvine. So those teams had outstanding players that deserve a lot of credit. But the amazing performances that I saw, man, Carson Edwards, like, it just took it over for me.
You don't
and
think
the
he
kid
got
from
enough
Texas
handles?
Tech.
Texas Tech snuck up
the kid
on me
from
completely.
Texas Tech, the center from Texas Tech, man, he's shooting threes. Like, he just take over the game when he wants to. Like, all right, my turn. And he's not even doing it with a lot of possessions, like Zion. Yeah. I don't see it in the other two guys from Duke. I don't see
RJ
it.
and Cam.
Reddish
what
and
were your
Barrett.
thoughts on? So Coach K said in the presser that Cam didn't play on Friday because he has jumper's knee, tendonitis, some sort of deal. It sneaks up on you. Sometimes you can't play. But apparently, and I know Jay Williams has made known of this on Get Up a bunch, he's in videos that Duke Instagram's account posted, and he's jumping up and down celebrating with his team. He did play on Sunday, didn't play well. Should he stay? Like, does this speak to a mentality in terms of ready to go pro?
I think they should stay.
All of them? Who?
No, Zion. Psh,
RJ
Zion
should stay too?
I would. You look at Brandon Ingram. You look at Brandon Ingram and his development. I think another year would do Reddish and Barrett some good. But it's hard to keep them around knowing they're going to be top 10 picks if they leave. But how soon will they disappear, be buried on someone's at the end of somebody's bench? Yeah. And all of that great talk about the tournament, which I'm looking forward to this weekend. Today in D.C., you have the return of Bryce Harper.
The return.
The return of Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper, the Phillies, playing the Nats, comes back to town, and the level of excitement for this city, you would say, is what?
I would say it's
who? For DC or Philly?
For DC.
Oh.
It's probably its most electric it'll ever be at Nats Park this year. Maybe until September. Because look, the Nats have a good team still.
Max on the mound.
They'll be fine.
Harper return. How you can't like, who set this up?
Is this good electric or bad electric?
I think
good.
I'd like to think this is good electric for the Nats because, first of all, Max Scherzer is pitching Tuesday night, and they'll get Strasburg Wednesday night. I mean, he'll be facing the two guys he was teammates with for the majority of his tenure with the Nationals, and who are aces in their own regard. But I think it's just, do they boo? How much do they boo? Do they cheer? Is it what kind of welcome is he going to get? I think that is the biggest question because there's so many opposite sides here. And there was a great article in the Washington Post just yesterday about how much the Nats actually gave him, what they were willing to spend for him, and it didn't look great for the Nationals.
Here's my thing. Bryce got everybody excited about baseball here. We can never take that away from him, right? You get your mom. Do we know for a fact that the Nats are going to acknowledge him? We don't know.
I mean, I think they should. Maybe it's too early to do it.
Like you're talking about a thank you, Bryce montage or something.
Thank you. Also, thank you, Bryce, for finally giving us our thank you on Instagram.
It's
on Tuesday.
weird. It is weird only in the sense that he rejected the Nationals' offer, and maybe they wouldn't. But
he said they lowballed him.
So I'm not sure.
Go get your money, man. I'm not mad at you at all. I do think first at bat. Okay, cool. What's up, Bryce? Thank you for your time in DC. Once that's out your system, it's on. Like, you playing Philly now. Bye.
Well,
especially with the way he's come out of the gate in Philly, and the Phillies coming out of the gate.
Speaking of bye, we had a huge loss in entertainment industry, Nipsey Hussle, this week, and it's tough to bring this up on this show because this is, it's entertainment based, but it's sports related. When you look at a guy that was so influential in the advancement of communities, a lot of athletes, a lot of people go back to their communities and they give back and they try. But you're talking about a guy who went and bought up property and put the people in the community on, and the welcoming that the appreciation that he had from uniting everyone and not having one of those situations where it was, no, this is just my street or this is my neighborhood and this is what I'm going to highlight. He put LA and Compton on a bigger stage, and a sudden loss, due to whatever happened, we weren't there, and you want to send condolences to the families and friends and everyone because it's senseless. But when you see this type of loss, how it affects everyone, my entire timeline for the last 2 days have only been pictures of Nipsey Hussle. And I wasn't a person who rode around listening to Nipsey Hussle, but yesterday it was only right that I just go to his station and play his music. And I realized I knew so many of the songs, or I was familiar with so many, and his message was so positive that it's crazy that you always lose the influential people are the people that mean so well or do so much in the community so early. So I wanted to mention that on this show, and if you have any thoughts.
Definitely a tragic loss, and I wasn't super duper familiar, right? Like, you hear songs, you're like, oh, okay, that's him. Not a West Coast person. But what I will say that really touched my heart in all of this is the idea that what he was about can continue in terms, and it was a great article in The Undefeated, and the final paragraph said, learn his lessons, give back, believe in ourselves. That's their legacy, the real victory lap for Nipsey Hussle. And so I think for someone like that who was so forward-thinking and truly about his community and bettering folks that he knew coming up out of the same neighborhoods he was, like, it doesn't necessarily have to stop if you really think about it in the big picture.
Yeah. And he was also big in the sports community, too.
Mm-hmm.
That was another thing. He loved the Lakers.
Yeah, you saw Golden State celebrate to his music before they played the Lakers tribute. Huge sports fan. Deshaun Jackson grew up same neighborhood with him, so a lot of ties to the entertainment community. So, if you could just leave people with a word, because I think we often forget how an entire community has to change. Yeah. Not just one person.
And change is slow.
All of us have to change. Like, we all have to do all that we can to uplift the community, to help out the community. So go out and do something. If it's giving someone the shirt off your back, giving something, you just got to get in the giving mood. And you'll always have someone who's unappreciative. And you can't let that change the big picture. And the big picture is trying to figure out a way to unite us while everything in the world is being divided. So you have to try to figure that out on 26 Minutes. Hopefully we do a good job at entertaining you and making a difference in the community. So continue to listen to 26 Minutes, episode 31 in the books. Thank you all for listening. Catch us next week.